gotta keep one jump ahead of the breadline, one swing ahead of the sword. I steal only what I can afford. That's everything.
Can you still be vegan and work for McDonald's? Can you be against fast fashion and work for H&M? Can you be left-wing and work for the Herald, or for you Americans out there, Fox News? Can you be anti-capitalist on YouTube and still accept sponsorships? Where do we draw the line for personal responsibility when it comes to the workplace and places where we choose to work? So welcome to 2022. This is my New Year's Eve video. Am I expecting 2022 to be any better? No, but I still believe that all of us can change, learn and grow, because I always say that here. Anyway, this is a bit of a rant video, but I do actually really want your input, so please do comment down below when you've actually finished the video and got your own thoughts on this, because I would love to be a solution siren here. I would just adore it if I could actually have a full-fledged solution for everyone, but I don't really actually practically see anything being able to be put in place for, like, I don't know, tomorrow, since that's New Year's Day, but there are ways that we can make improvements. Maybe? I don't know. Anyway, let's get right on into it. This one is a bit salty, which will go perfectly with the margarita I'm about to have. If you've never been here before, my name is Bryony. We do deep dives into the environmental, social, and ethical issues of the world. This is a social and an ethical issue that's been eating me up for a long time. And whilst I talk about this, I create a look which you can follow me along with. All of the products I use are cruelty-free, vegan, and not owned by parent companies that test on animals. And it's also listed down below for you in case you're wondering. This one is actually inspired by a content creator that I follow on Instagram, amazing makeup artist. I've tried to recreate this. I have not done the best job. I do not have all of the same colours, but I did try and make it work. So without any further ado, let's get into dystopia, shall we? Ethics, morality and money. Do those three words even go together at all? Also, it's a new year. Please remember to clean your makeup brushes. It's important. Do it once a week. Watch a video. It's what I tend to do. So I've kind of already made 2 videos sort of on this topic. 1, why you'll never be an ethical consumer, and 2, why you hate influencers. I'll actually link both of those videos at the end, so then you can watch either one of them if you haven't watched them already. Most people, if you're subscribed, have already seen the influencer one, because that's one that Tiffany Ferg shouted out. Thanks again for that. But some of you may not have actually seen the ethical consumer one. If you're watching this, chances are that you live in a capitalistic country. It may be more fair than others. It may take better care of its citizens than others and have like more safeholds in place for people, you know, like things like healthcare and like housing the homeless and stuff, like, you know, where it's sort of edging towards socialism, but it's still definitely a capitalistic society, and you still have to quote-unquote earn your keep. And some places may be quite dystopian, like my view of what America is actually like, even though I've never visited there. We will when we eventually get to have our honeymoon. No matter what, all of them rely on people selling their time in order to be able to afford to live. That's honestly the exchange. How much is your time worth in order for you to be motivated enough to sustain your life and the life of your dependents? Dark, I know, but that is actually the reality that we're living in. So most of us can agree that there are some baddies at the top that are like the ones that are actually creating the loopholes, the legal ones, in our, you know, supposedly democratic systems in which rich people can get richer and exploit people further and use child and forced labour, and basically it means that poor people have to pay more money to be able to, I don't know, live. You know, like how we have children mine the things that create the batteries in our phones and in your Tesla if you are rich enough to own that. You're doing your part for the environment. I mean, buses are hard, right? I'm sorry, I'm having a really angry day today. So we've got people doing objectively bad stuff all the way up at the top, right? So that's just a thing that happens. But what about the people that work there that aren't actually owning the company? You know, like they don't have the means of production or whatever Marxism you want to insert here. They do not control that. They are merely pawns. What about the pawns? How much judgment do we have for them? How much vitriol do we have for them? Like, where do we draw the line at condoning the actions of people that are just generally employed at these places, whether they want to be or not? Genuinely, where is that line? By being on the payroll? And what about the people that are on the payroll that are actually trying to have a positive influence and create change from the inside to have a bit of a better steer into what could be like terrible business practices, as opposed to having yes men that are just happy to, you know, exploit everything, and then you create literally mad men. They're still profiting off the bad company, right? Therefore, Are they still tarred with the same brush as being bad people? By being employed by one of these companies, you're as bad as the Warren Buffetts or the Elon Musks of the world, right? Where is this line getting drawn? Obviously, this is an incredibly nuanced situation, and this cannot be covered by a simple 140 character tweet or a TikTok. We all have different skill sets, talents, and abilities when it comes to like what we can sell in order to be able to survive, right? There is a level of income necessary in order to be able to actually sustain life too, which I think can sometimes get forgotten about conveniently.
I mean, it's one banana, Michael. What could it cost? $10?
There is a lower limit for what you can actually afford to live your life on, especially if you are a sick person or you have dependents. You will need more money, and depending on the city that you're living in order to be able to even work in that city or just find a job at all, that greatly impacts the amount of money that you need to earn in order to be able to survive. Yeah, I think that's the word I'm looking for. But the thing is there a wholly ethical business that you can work at to sustain your life and improve the world? I know that there are some companies that like fit into this vibe, right? However, there's not enough of them, and there are too many tasks in the world that need to happen in order for everyone to be able to work at these very ethical, you know, completely sustainably sourced, everything is done properly, correctly, all of that stuff in our current landscape, right? The thing is that I don't think that there's wholly ethical, sustainable, everything that we need to keep functioning the way that society functions right now, which is inherently wasteful. I don't think that there are jobs like that for all locations, for all skill sets, for all ages. Obviously, hopefully not involving children in this, and hopefully also allowing people to retire as well. But I don't think that we actually have that ability in the world. So whilst there may be people that are doing fantastic jobs for the environment, human rights things, there's not enough of those to go around for everyone. And the thing is, like, people gotta eat, people gotta have electricity, people gotta have people to deal with the rubbish, people gotta have like all sorts of stuff to keep up this very wasteful lifestyle that we're currently leading. So given the fact that there are constraints like time, location, family, perhaps even people needing this thing called health insurance, you know, it does actually make a difference, including here in Aotearoa. There are a myriad of other reasons as well why people need to pick jobs that they do, as well as being able to actually, I don't know, live in an area where you can actually get to work without having to walk 21 miles a day to get there, because public transport is apparently not a thing that is like safe for people. I can't catch public transport anymore, even though I really want to. Sadly, I don't really think that this comes down to like the luxury of being able to choose exactly where you work and have like full autonomy over what that business does as well, in order for it to stay at a particular ethical level for being acceptable for you to be at. Like, we don't actually have the luxury to pick the amount of hours that we work, to choose exactly where we work in terms of location, same as actually being paid the correct amount for you to be able to not only sustain life, but also pay for your retirement. Because I don't know if you actually live in Aotearoa, but we've got this thing called KiwiSaver, which was brought in 2007, and personally I believe that that was brought in because the state knows that our age curve is going to get to a point where we cannot actually support people that are like the later Gen X, definitely Gen Y, millennials and beyond that. That's why KiwiSaver was brought in 2007, at least that's my own theory, because even the state pension now is challenging for people to live on, in particular if you have health issues and you need some more support. It's quite challenging already for people to live on. I've got no idea why people say that Aotearoa is a socialist country, because there is no way. If you saw the way that people were actually treated and the level of poverty here and the homelessness, like, you'd be actually appalled. I fully am aware that I will get people saying, oh, but it's a job seekers market, it's just up to people to choose exactly where they work. Whilst that's a real cute idea, the thing is that the pandemic has actually had a disproportionate impact on small businesses, you know, mum and pop shops, the ones that we were all meant to care about, right? It's had a disproportionate impact on them as opposed to like the big corporations. The big corporations that can offer some benefits, but also really like to, you know, like, I don't know, make people pee into a bottle and stuff, you know? I would definitely not say that the power balance or the ethical companies are exactly there for people to be able to easily choose from. Like, I'm really glad that we've actually had this change for it to actually become more of a market that is for the workers instead, or have a little bit more power for the workers, because I entered the job market when the GFC hit, which, you know, fun. The issue still remains that the jobs that you get to choose from there are ethical or moral downsides to most of them. And should all of these moral and ethical issues be entirely placed on the individual who, like I said before, absolutely has to work in order to be able to survive, or, you know, be deemed of worthy of survival in shelter? Personally, I think that there is a limit to the amount of choosiness that we actually have. No matter what, you're choosing from the lesser of like 100 evils, and even then you may not be successful at getting the job that you actually wanted to get. Or, you know, it could be too far away, or it may not pay enough in order for you to be able to, like I said before, survive and also save the retirement that you'll absolutely have to pay for. I see people being left out in the cold. I really do. Content creators, sponsorships and ads. The other week I was watching a video by Broe de Chanel about fast fashion and like all of the bad things that kind of go into it, trying to have like this debate that has been going around a lot because people like the elitism of saying that you shouldn't buy from fast fashion brands. It's like, actually there's a lot more nuance to it. Shocker, TikTok doesn't get nuance, same as Twitter doesn't seem to. Fabulous. So she created this amazing video and it was sponsored by a corporation, and so people got hella mad at her about it, and she had to make an apology post explaining why. And the thing is, the same sort of thing actually happened to Khadijah as well. And if you're not watching their work, what is wrong with you? You are severely missing out on so much fantastic education in your life. Also, you get to hear their beautiful singing voice. I could actually easily say that this is like sexism, misogyny, misogynoir, that's actually working against them, because like, even though Khadijah doesn't necessarily identify as female, they prefer they them pronouns, in case you didn't know, they still kind of look traditionally feminine, and so they get called that all the time. And so a lot of me thinks a lot of this can also come down to that, but also these two individuals actually employ teams to create incredibly well researched, edited, wonderful work, and people are like, oh, but you accepted a sponsorship from a company. Okay, let me just give you a bit of a TLDR into how you can make money on YouTube, okay? Of course, like, you're watching this content for free, mind you. I mean, there is Nabla, who has a Nabla or Curiosity Stream sort of account. I'm sorry, let me know in the comments down below if you do, because I've never met anyone who has. But you know, we live in a capitalistic world, and same as you, they have to work in order to be able to sustain life, and they're actually employing people. Huh. They, just like you, because, you know, we love this authenticity thing, they have to pay the bills in the same way that you do, which includes paying their team members. Even if they're individuals, I don't care. You still have bills to pay, a lot of bills to pay, just to be able to survive in this world, because basic human needs are not met. Obviously, I'm really angry because Lindsay has just left. So yeah, let me just talk about making money on YouTube, okay? If you don't already, there's this thing called CPM. So that is kind of like the rate you get per 1,000 views, and it depends on the kind of content that you create. So if you think about it like the dude bros that are talking about flipping houses and stock markets, well, do they make a lot of money by talking all sorts of, honestly, dude bro garbage, which is just trying to uphold a very damaging system. But yeah, you know, they make bank, okay? And if you are promoting consumerism, especially if you are working in tech, wow, you're actually doing okay. Like, not as well as like the people who are talking about like the high-end money stuff. Same as if you talk about insurance, wow, you're gonna make a lot of money as well. If you are doing content that says capitalism bad, and is criticizing government inaction, and is criticizing politicians, and is saying that, hey, guess what, I think that we actually need to change a whole bunch of stuff, which isn't exactly, you know, promoting, I don't know, useless things, you don't make as much money in terms of CPM, okay? Oh, and also someone that gets demonetized for literally 0 reasons. Like, you've noticed I never swear in my videos. I'm incredibly careful with exactly what I put in my videos to make sure that I do not get demonetized. I still get demonetized for the silliest things, and that actually means that your engagement goes down, like the reach goes down, and you don't make money from that video. So yeah, no matter how careful you are, if you're not making, like, none of my beauty content ever gets hit. Nothing. When I talk about real stuff,
I don't think so. I don't think so.
You know, like when people talk about corporate greed and like talking about those issues, those are the people that get shadow banned and don't get any money for making this content and doing all of this work. And as someone that's had to cover like some dark topics, is really challenging on your mental health. And so having all of that come into play, I fully understand why people need to rely on sponsorships when YouTube can just take your money like that. So since you want people talking about the real issues instead of just easy reaction content, because that's honestly what it is, like sure it's like a light laugh, but we still want people to actually be talking about real stuff, right? They have to rely on sponsorships in the same way that you have to rely on your paycheck from a bad company in order for you to be able to survive as well. And maybe they're actually trying to have a positive influence, have discussions with people, create discussions, and try and find a way forward for the future and encourage change. I don't know, potentially positive things. If anyone dares say it's not a real job, please just go back to your 4chan dwelling basement. I have zero time or patience for you. You're probably the same kind of people that say that work isn't real work, but you expect it to happen for free for you because you deserve it, and you actually actively disrespect people that are engaged in that line of work. I have a video for you to watch right here about femphobia. Please go join the other incels that are just like in that comment section. You can all have fun in your little circle jerk there, okay? I have actually zero patience for people that are discussing this sort of stuff, like zero. A privileged white man saying that something is worthy of being paid for as opposed to just being, relegated to being a hobby? You've already weaponized child rearing and housework against us as the unpaid expectation of being the non-dominant people in society. And of course, all of this isn't even touching on the ableism that is inherently in place when it comes to people not being able to actually work a 9 to 5, which is actually an 8 to 6, or in my case, a 7 to 4. They're further discriminated against because workplaces tend to be very ableist. Which is grotesque in so many ways. Oh, and good luck if you have any cultural tattoos, or if you are anything darker than a paper bag. My goodness, good luck to you, especially earning the same as like a white man, hey? So yeah, if you're part of any of those marginalized communities, you get even more penalized and you can be even less picky. So, Miss Big Brain over here, what's the solution? I don't have one, that's why I told you. I want us to be a discussion, please. A healthy one where you're not slinging names at each other or at me, because I don't need that. My mental health has been terrible without your help, okay? But yes, if you've been here for a little while, then you'll know I'm an executive assistant. I've been an executive assistant for quite a while because I'm real good at telling people what to do. But I'm an executive assistant at a scientific organization. And oh boy, there is a lot that happens that I do not agree with at all, and I let my opinions be known, right? And I'm also part of committees and the union, so you know, I'm trying to make change happen from inside, even though I very much know that no matter what, I'm not going to make the grand sweeping changes I actually want to happen. I can still have an impact from the inside. At least that's kind of like been my motto for life, is like try no matter what. You know, you're also talking to the person that worked for and thought that I could make change from reception. Sweetie, no. You can get yelled at a lot though. You can get sexually harassed very easily too. So when I was job hunting from a job which I used to love and then ended up hating because the person that I was hired by got restructured out, well, it's their fault if they're suffering now for it. And so I really wanted to find another job, but the thing is that it was incredibly hard trying to find a job that would utilize my skills, that I could actually, you know, gain some enjoyment from, have a bit of impact in, and also like, I don't know, earn a wage that was actually livable. It was incredibly hard for me to find something that would be morally and ethically kind of aligned to me. I could have very easily worked for some giant corporations that would have given me amazing benefits and all sorts. I could have even worked for Fonterra if I wanted to. I could have worked for all sorts of places. But no, like, it came down to 2 jobs, and I'm still, like, don't get me wrong, I'm very glad that I work where I do. Like, most of the people are fantastic, my boss is fantastic, so that makes a huge difference to, like, everything. But it doesn't mean that I'm 100% pro everything that happens there. I'm definitely not. But does that make me a terrible person because I work somewhere that would be considered to be not vegan? Because, you know, like, I try and do things as practical as possible in order to live as vegan and ethical a lifestyle as I can. without, I don't know, like losing all of my sleep every day because I lose enough of it, you know? And like, I was incredibly privileged to be able to still work at that job that I really had grown to hate in order to be able to have the luxury of finding somewhere else and having some options as well for where I could work. You know, and also the fact that I'm white and I can make myself presentable and I don't have, whether it be religious or traditional tattoos or things like that, it's like I can present myself to be incredibly normal in order to get hired, you know? I have so many advantages, including the fact that I'm white, obviously, whereas so many people don't. The same thing goes for online content creators. Like, no matter what, you're going to be working for Google or Facebook. No, I'm not calling it Meta, no matter what you say is that, no matter what you try and do to like rebrand, it's Facebook still. Or another huge conglomerate that causes quite a bit of pain and suffering to a number of people and doesn't actually care about the creators. So no matter what, you're kind of screwed. Anytime I see people get really angry at these content creators who are actually like trying to talk about, like I said, real issues or have issues with capitalism and stuff, it's like, well, how dare you be on here because like you're actually profiting like the big beast. It's like, well, would you rather just live in a world where people are just trying to sell you stuff and do stupid prank videos? Or would you rather actually have people that are trying to spread awareness and raise real issues and have actual discussions? Because the thing is that if you really want to have like that dystopia world where everything's just being sold to you, please just go watch Minority Report or, I don't know, Idiocracy. Enjoy that instead. In terms of my absolute final thoughts on this, like, obviously I think that you may know that I'm a bit of a romantic at heart. I don't just mean in terms of like romance for a sweetheart. I genuinely mean in terms of like a romantic view of life where I believe that people can actually make change and positive change and actually inspire others and lead to a better future, you know, like that there's actually goodness out there. I am a romantic at heart in that sense of the word. If I didn't have this hope, I would actually cease to exist entirely, genuinely. And whilst honestly it's quite a challenging thing to grasp when I see the increased selfishness of the world and corporations just getting away with literal murder Amazon by trapping people in there and instead of letting them escape from a hurricane, I'd still rather cling to these little beacons of hope that I see around the place when it comes to whether it's positive content creators, positive people that I work with, positive people that I see doing good things around the place. I'd still rather cling to that than just, you know, like see all of the apathy in the world and see the future that we are sadly hurtling towards and just be like, oh well, that's just it, I might as well just make my money whilst I can. And also I'm lucky in the fact that the places that I've worked, I've been able to work directly with leaders who also, whether they agree with me on everything or not is normally not, and it's healthy to not have full agreement with everyone, very, very healthy. The fact is that they actually are good people working in middle upper management who actually want to make a positive difference, at least most of them, not every single one of them, but most of them. I'm very lucky that I've been able to actually work with people who genuinely care, that are in positions of a bit more influence in a workplace. Granted, they're not the shareholders and granted they're not the board or the CEO. I do also worry that caring can crush people, and I've seen caring crush people, whether it's the many people that I look after or whether it's just one person or a few people. I've seen that, I've experienced it. I'm not trying to do the whole Shane Dawson, I'm an empath thing, but like genuinely if you're one of the people that like really feels that sort of stuff and has a lot of sympathy for others and really wants to fight for others, I do really encourage you to have to like carve out space to look after yourself. You can't help anyone else if you're not helping yourself. That's just the line I'm going to give to the people that do care too much and work all the time, because that's so many of the leaders that I've looked after, because they're actually fighting for the people. A lot of this has actually been inspired by what's been rattling around in my head for a long time, and two, the stuff that I've seen said to people that are actually trying to make a genuine difference on this platform. Like Lindsay's left, Browy's been affected, Khadijah's been affected, so many people have been negatively affected, and I'm like, I just don't like seeing good people get attacked for nothing when there are people that are doing genuinely bad things. Like what you're doing right now is distracting from the bigger issues and the things that we could actually work to fix. Like, I don't know, people in positions of power that are trying to make sure that people remain homeless and get no benefits. You know, like just bigger issues like that. Same as making sure that tax laws just get pass through without anyone noticing, and you know, making abortions incredibly hard or even illegal to get. That's the stuff that we should really be worried about as opposed to fighting each other. At the end of all of this, I would just love for people to have a bit more sympathy, empathy, and maybe think a little bit before they actually go spouting such disgusting things at people that are trying to make a difference. I've seen too many good people in real life, and also the online content creators. I don't even like actually know them, but I know enough to know that this is not on. The hate in people's hearts is the thing that genuinely worries me about the future. And that's where I'm going to end this. I would love to know your thoughts on this. Like I said, I have not created any solutions here. I wanted to have a discussion to kick off the year. And as it's New Year's Eve, I'm probably going to be drinking margaritas the rest of the day. So I will see you lovelies next Tuesday for another deep dive video. So here are a few people that I really want to talk about this year. I'm only going to do one icon per month because the amount of work is unreasonable that I do for these videos. For January, I'm going to be talking about Amy Winehouse. February, I'm thinking of Pamela Anderson because that ties in with the movie that's coming out. And from then on, I know that I want to talk about Rita Hayworth, I want to talk about Carmen Electra, maybe Shirley Temple. I was also thinking Whitney Houston. I also want to cover Jane Fonda as well. There are so many people that I really want to talk about. I wish that this was my full-time job because there's so many videos. My list of videos that I want to make is ridiculous. But I may also be dropping this back to 3 big videos a month because my mental health has not coped this past year, because producing what I would like to think of as being a high quality video once a week whilst working full time, yeah, it's not sustainable, but I try to feed the algorithm gods, like with whatever pithy offering I can give, but I may be dropping it back to 3 videos because I need to be able to, I don't know, have an afternoon off as opposed to just having burnout and having my Christmas ruined because I've been dealing with terrible physical impacts of burnout and psychological impacts. So I think I'm going to be stepping back a little, but still making those big videos I really want to make. I may just be making 3 big videos, you know, because I have to take care of myself, okay? I have to. Anyway, lovelies, thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this, since this is a New Year video, let's have the sparkler or firework emoji. Even though do not set off fireworks, please. The poor animals and the poor environment, they don't need it. Okay, we don't be needing fireworks, okay? No, let's just leave it. If you still have sparklers lying around, use your sparklers. Cool, you have fun with that. Big old bangs that terrify animals, let's not. Also, people like me that have to go to bed at 9 because they are so sick and burnt out, wow, yeah, if you could not, I'd love it. Anyway, I'll go now. Bye. The Elvis fandom have really just made me super angry today. Never gotten more hate on a video than the one where I talk about a victim of child grooming. My god, it was a different, I don't care how different a time you may think the 50s was. An adult of 24 preying on a child of 14 is not an acceptable thing. My god, if they were like teenagers, I'd be a lot more lenient. He was a superstar, what the hell? I bet these are the same people that would defend James Charles, honestly.